Hello guys, how are you all doing? I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, I'm going to finally come back and revisit a topic I haven't had a reason to focus on in quite a while for some maybe fairly obvious reasons. And that has to do with the next generation Nintendo console, the Switch Successor, the Switch 2, whatever it's going to be. We need to talk about this console, and knowing that it's going to be re-revealed sometime between now and March next year, because Nintendo, of course, tweeted about that around 2 months ago, I want to talk about what game or games are the smartest for Nintendo to have launched the console and which is the most likely. Now, we're currently existing in a very interesting space for Nintendo when we know that they're preparing to transition from their mega successful Nintendo Switch into whatever this next generation for them is going to be. This, of course, is coming off of this most recent Nintendo Direct that did manage to give us an idea of what the back half of 2024 is going to look like for the Switch. We, like I alluded to already, know that they're going to be revealing the console to us sometime between now and March next year. I still honestly believe it will happen this year in 2024, but technically they have until March 2025 based on what they already confirmed to us. So we know that that's coming as well. And then beyond that, going back to the Nintendo Direct, we now have Metroid Prime 4 Beyond as a real game. They have revealed that game. They've given us the full title. They've given us the current release year of 2025. And so all of these factors combined starts to paint a potential picture of what we might see in terms of launch games. And I'm talking first-party Nintendo launch games for the Switch 2 or their next generation console. I think it is no secret to anyone that Nintendo needs to play it very careful and be very smart when it comes to transitioning from the current Switch generation into this next generation. It's been extremely successful for them, the Nintendo Switch has. It was an incredible rebound coming off of the unfortunate sales failure of the Wii U. And I will always add the addendum of unfortunate because I don't care what anyone says. The Wii U was a fantastic console. The gamepad was incredible. It is incredible. I still play my Wii U to this day. The library was amazing. You can look at all of the ports to the Nintendo Switch to confirm that. The Wii U was amazing. I love it. I will always defend it. However, it was a sales failure. And so their rebound with the Nintendo Switch is borderline unprecedented. And so how do they keep that momentum up? How do they ensure that it is another success they have on their hand and carry this 140 million install base and fan base of the current Switch into this next generation? How do they ensure that people don't jump ship? And as we all know, having a couple of killer app launch day games, the game or games you can buy the same day the Switch 2 is on the market and you're coming home from the store with that Switch 2 in your hands, what game or games are you going to be playing as soon as you get home with it? Nintendo's got to have something really killer lined up. So you can no doubt tell from the thumbnail for this video what games I plan on focusing on. And this is not a revolutionary topic. I'm not talking about revolutionary games. The concept of Nintendo having to decide between Metroid or Mario as a possible launch day first-party game for the Switch 2 has been around for many, many months. I've discussed it myself in some of my videos, and so have many other YouTubers. I've even been on some podcasts with some folks and talked about it, you know, going back many, many months when I was podcasting a little bit more regularly. And so, yeah, let's talk about this. What makes more sense for Nintendo to launch with? A Mario game or a Metroid game? And which is more likely, Mario or Metroid? That is the big question. Now, obviously, we're talking about either Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, because it's now been confirmed. We've seen the game. We've seen a little bit of gameplay. We know that there will be a current Nintendo Switch version, so that much is already complete and official. We know what's happening there. But the conversation about a cross-gen version of Metroid Prime 4 Beyond existing is still very much alive, and I'm telling you, I absolutely believe Metroid Prime 4 will get some sort of Switch 2 next generation release. I absolutely believe so. So then we start to wonder, okay, if the Switch 2 is going to launch next year, does Metroid Prime 4 Beyond launch day and date both on the current Switch and also with a Switch 2 version on launch day? And does Nintendo use the hype of the Switch 2 to become a showcase for Metroid Prime 4 Beyond's next-gen graphics and help sell people even more on Metroid Prime 4? Or do they say, we want to wait on that, we want to give more time for the Switch 2 to be available, and release Metroid Prime 4 on the Switch 2 sometime later after the launch, maybe a few months, maybe even a year, hopefully not that long, but maybe that long. And instead, do they launch the Switch 2 with something else, a stronger, higher profile title like a brand new Mario game? Many of us thinking possibly Super Mario Odyssey 2. So I know a lot of people have very specific and strong opinions on which makes more sense for them to launch with and which they want them to launch with. And I'll be honest, both games, I think, have a strong case. Metroid's advantage is that I do think that the hype of the Switch 2, combined with the hype of Metroid Prime 4, will equal more sales and more success for Metroid Prime 4, which is only good and healthy for the franchise as a whole. And we know Nintendo is dedicated and committed to this franchise. We know it's known for its extremely high quality, but also not being the biggest seller when compared to Nintendo's other higher tier and higher quality franchises. So I think that releasing Metroid Prime 4 alongside of the Switch 2 with a cross-generation version, so all of the 140 million Switch owners can have the ability to buy it, or the people who pick up the Switch 2 can have the ability to buy it, that's a win across the board, and it's good for the franchise, and Nintendo can really help inject some much-needed life into Metroid as a series. The advantage to Mario is more obvious, because Mario is like their premier series. Like, yeah, Pokemon and Mario Kart sell more than Mario games, but Mario is their flagship mascot and franchise, and more than a Mario spin-off title at launch, I think starting with a single-player, brand-new 3D Mario adventure, whether it's Odyssey 2 or something brand new, or hell, Galaxy 3, oh my god, give that game to me. Whatever it would be, the huge advantage there is all of the hype with the Switch 2 is going to be matched for the hype of a brand new Mario game, 3D Mario game, Odyssey 2 or whatever. And so you're going to help sell more copies of Mario and more Switch 2s, even though I think the Switch 2 will sell out no matter what. And so you get all of that hype with the new Mario on day one of the next generation console, so that then if you release Metroid Prime 4 later, several months down the road, you've got more people already invested in the Switch 2, and so people will be dying to gobble up the next first-party Nintendo game, and if that game is Metroid Prime 4, well, you've got more Switch 2s on the market, in theory, to sell people a copy of Metroid Prime 4. And so I've got to be real with you guys. I don't see a downside to either. The clear and most commonly stated counter-argument that people have, and it's not one that I really agree with, even though I do understand what they're saying, because in essence it is also true. So the common counterpoint people say is Metroid isn't big enough of a franchise to launch the Switch 2. So what's obviously true and undeniable about that is that yes, Metroid is not a huge seller for Nintendo, again, compared to other franchises, and it is nowhere near as popular or successful as Mario. So yes, if Nintendo wants to say, we want the more popular franchise to launch the Switch 2 on day one, yeah, you're obviously going to choose Mario. I'm not going to let my Metroid fanboyism get in the way of facts here. Mario dwarfs Metroid in terms of popularity and sales. Like I said, it's undeniable, and that's okay. I don't even mind that. So from that standpoint, that counter-argument does have merit. However, the reason I still don't honestly believe that would factor into Nintendo's decision is because the Switch 2 is going to sell out. The units themselves, the consoles themselves, there will be insane hype behind it when it launches. It is going to sell out, weekend one, no matter what. If they have 2 million, 3 million, 5 million, 10 million Switch 2s available in that first month, whatever it looks like, it's going to sell out. So I am here to say that, here's my standpoint. Regardless of if it's Mario or Metroid that launches the Switch 2, or, let me just say this as well, whatever other title might also be available. I need to acknowledge the fact that it might not even be Mario or Metroid. Maybe they launch with something else that we're not considering. So whatever that launch day first party Nintendo game is going to be, the Switch 2 is going to sell out no matter what. And whatever game Nintendo has as their killer app is also going to sell. Basically, people will be so excited to have their brand new Switch 2. And if they sell 5 or 8 million in that first month, all 5 or 8 million brand new Switch 2 owners are going to say, what's Nintendo's killer app? It's Mario? Okay, I'm going to buy Mario. Or it's Metroid Prime 4? Okay, I'm going to buy Metroid Prime 4. And if Metroid Prime 4 is also showcasing the incredible power of the Switch 2, that will more convince people to buy the Switch 2 version of Metroid Prime 4 in that launch day, launch month period than they already would anyway. Now, before anyone comes at me with this whole, like, what if they launch with like a 1-2 Switch successor and that's a game that, people won't really care about. And so, yes, any like first party developed casual demo type of software that they might launch with and sell separately, like what 1-2 Switch was, yeah, that is not going to be the killer app. That's not the killer app title I'm talking about. I'm talking about something that would be Metroid Prime 4 Beyond, or a brand new 3D Mario game, a new Zelda game, even though we know that's not possible because we're getting Echoes of Wisdom on the Switch and the next main Zelda is going to be years away, but still something like a Zelda tier, a Pokemon tier. This came up on the podcast I was on recently, even like a brand new Mario Kart. Like, those are the kinds of killer app games. Metroid, Mario, Zelda, Mario Kart, Pokemon, I don't know, any other obvious one. Those are the killer app launch titles that people think of. Not 1-2 Switch, not 3-4 Switch 2, whatever that thing would be. Not Switch 2 Sports. We're talking about the real single-player epic games. Well, Mario Kart or Smash Brothers, those would be multiplayer. But if they did launch, that would be a killer app title. So removing those casual first-party games from the conversation like 1-2 Switch, I'm talking about your Metroids and your Marios. And so my whole point here is that as a fan, I want it to be Metroid. But even if it's Mario, even if it's Metroid, the whole point I'm trying to make is that no matter what title it would be, the Switch 2 is going to sell out in the first month, and so is whatever their first-party killer app game. I mean, we saw when Nintendo launched the Switch with Zelda Breath of the Wild. It launched all on the same day, all on March 3rd, 2017. We got the Nintendo Switch came out, we got Breath of the Wild on the Switch came out, and Breath of the Wild on the Wii U came out. So those 3 SKUs were all available on the same day. And even though there was a last gen and a new gen version of Breath of the Wild and a brand new console on the market, look, man, the Switch sold out. Breath of the Wild on the Switch actually sold more than 100% attach rate to the Switch for a long time. Now, Metroid Prime 4 wouldn't achieve that, but what we did see is that Nintendo's ability to launch a new console, a killer app title for that console, and a last generation version of that same killer app, they were able to sell incredibly well. The Wii U version of Breath of the Wild sold well over 1 million units, which was a very strong attach rate for that console's install base when you also factor in a next generation version launched for the Switch as well. And then Breath of the Wild went on to sell 30-something million units in its life, despite launching alongside of a popular new console that itself was selling out and hard to find for a very long time. And so even though Metroid isn't going to achieve that same kind of fervor like Zelda or Mario would, I still think it's going to see massive success if it launches day one with the Switch 2 and with the current Switch version. And now, let's shift it back to Mario one last time. Basically, I think the new 3D Mario game would emulate Breath of the Wild's success exactly. I don't know if we would see that 3D Mario game have like a last-gen Switch 1 version. I think we all know that Metroid Prime 4 would because we've already seen it for the current Switch. The 3D Mario, I could see Nintendo going in a few directions, man. I could see them saying, yeah, we want to release it on the current Switch and have that install base. Or I could see them taking a huge swing and saying, we're going to make this only for the Switch 2 and really forcing people to buy the Switch 2 only to play the next generation 3D Mario game. That's not really my prediction. I think they would also make it a cross-generation title, but I'm just saying, I could see them taking that gamble simply because Mario is a size of a franchise that would demand that success. Metroid, my beloved Metroid, is not. It's not successful or popular enough to do that, but Mario is. And so This is all a long way for me to say that I think both options, again, focused squarely on Metroid Prime 4 or a new Mario, both options are the ideal killer app launch day title for the Switch 2. I think both are options on the table. I think both will be very successful. And the reason I want Metroid to be that launch title is because it's not just because I'm a Metroid fanboy, but it's because I want the Metroid series to see the success it deserves. And I truly feel in my bones that launching it, both cross-gen Switch and Switch 2, day one, will be the best thing for the sales success of Metroid Prime 4 and for the overall health and success of the Metroid franchise going forward. But make no mistake, man, I still think Mario could be that launch title, and I will be so happy because Mario is like one of my top 5 gaming franchises of all time. And in next generation Super Mario Odyssey 2 day one with my Switch 2, I would go gaga for that. Just as much as Metroid Prime 4, I would lose my mind. So these are the options in my breakdown. As I currently see it, I obviously want to hear your guys' thoughts on if you agree or disagree. I know people may bring up other titles that aren't Metroid and Mario, and it's totally fair to do so, but if you couldn't tell, I just wanted to focus this conversation on these two franchises because I think they make the most sense to be day one. So these are my thoughts, and that's about it.